Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Lana Zach. Here are the top 5 things to know this Friday. Number 1, more of our exclusive interview with President Trump.
The George Stephanopoulos interview has been making headlines because of the president's comment that he would consider taking dirt on a 2020 opponent from a foreign power.
Now, another apparent contradiction as President Trump says his former White House counsel, Don McGahn, lied under oath when he said that the president ordered him to fire the special counsel and that Trump pressured him to deny that he had been directed to do so. Take a listen.
Number 1, I was never going to fire Mueller. I never suggested firing Mueller.
That's not what he says.
Excuse, I don't care what he says. It doesn't matter. That was to show everyone what a good counsel he was.
But why would Don
we had a
lie,
business.
Why would he lie under oath? Why would he lie under oath?
Because he wanted to make
Mueller?
himself look like a good lawyer.
More of that exclusive ABC News interview coming up shortly.
And number 2, President Trump is showing no sign of complying with the federal watchdog's recommendation that he fire one of his closest advisors, Kellyanne Conway.
The watchdog says Conway has repeatedly violated the Hatch Act, which is an ethics law that bans federal employees from engaging in political activity at work. Conway's supporters call the law outdated and say it's been being used to unfairly target the Trump administration.
The watchdog has no power to force the president to act on its recommendation.
Meanwhile, Sarah Sanders is out. The White House press secretary is heading home to Arkansas.
She has 3 children under the age of 10 and says that her most important job right now is being a mother. President Trump is encouraging her to run for governor of Arkansas.
On to number 3, the rising tensions with Iran.
The U.S. is blaming Iran for the attacks on 2 oil tankers near the Persian Gulf Thursday. One of them was operated by Japan. Video purportedly shows an Iranian crew removing a mine from the side of one tanker.
Today, Japan said it will not be sending troops to the region in response.
We head to Toronto for number 4, where the party is still going.
The Raptors are NBA champions for the first time in franchise history after dethroning Golden State. Steph Curry's miss on a late jumper was the Warriors' last chance in Game 6. Moments later, it was time for Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard and his teammates to celebrate the 114-110 win and the first NBA title heading to Canada.
I just kept working hard, and had my mind set on this goal right here. You know, this is what I play basketball for. This is what I work out for all summer during the season, and I'm happy that my hard work paid off.
So I don't know if you heard this, but Drake, he's a big
Huge
fan of the Raptors, and he is dropping 2 new songs to celebrate their win.
And finally, number 5, Harry Potter fans could have used some magic to make the lines disappear at the new Harry Potter roller coaster at Universal Orlando.
Get this, people waited up to 10 hours to take a spin on the new coaster, which opened Thursday. That's about half the time it would take to binge all 8 of the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, but beginning today, fans can save a spot in line by using an app which alerts you when it's time for your ride. We've got much more to talk about coming your way.
It's Morning America. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. We've got a new NBA champion, and we feel like champions this morning because we've got Lana Zach here making your It's Morning America debut.
It's great to be here.
Yes, and she's going to give us a rundown of what happened with the NBA Finals last night. Go.
Okay, so there were these two teams.
No,
I
not already.
You know what? I just did. Steph Curry.
Missed.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but we want to get to our big story, that ABC News exclusive, George Stephanopoulos spending 48 hours of incredible access to President Trump, who says his former White House counsel, Don McGahn, lied under oath when he said President Trump ordered him to fire the special counsel and that Trump pressured him to deny that he had been directed to do so.
No special counsel should have ever been appointed. You know why? Because there was no crime. They had no evidence of crime.
He lays out a lot of evidence, including the episode where you ask your White House counsel, Don McGahn, you tell him Mueller has to go. You call him twice and say Mueller has to go. Call me when it's done.
Okay, now the story on that very simply. Number 1, I was never going to fire Mueller. I never suggested firing Mueller.
That's not what he says.
I don't care what he says. It doesn't matter. That was to show everyone what a good counsel he was.
But why would Don McGahn
we had a business.
Why would he lie under oath? Why would he lie under oath?
Because he wanted to make
Mueller?
himself look like a good lawyer, or he believed it because I would constantly tell anybody that would listen, including you, including the media, that Robert Mueller was conflicted. Robert Mueller had a total conflict of interest. I didn't say that.
If you answer these questions to me now, why not answer them to Robert Mueller under oath?
Because they were looking to get us for lies, for slight misstatements. I looked at what happened to people, and it was very unfair. Very, very unfair. Very unfair. I gave them 1.5 million pages of documents, right? I gave them 400 or 500 witnesses. I let Don McGahn testify. I let him. He was the White House counsel. I let him. I knew he was going to testify.
For an interview. You didn't answer questions on obstruction.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I did answer questions. I answered them in writing.
Not on obstruction.
I don't know about those. I don't know. I answered a lot of questions. They gave me questions. I answered them in writing.
Not on obstruction.
Look, George, you're being a little wise guy, okay? Which is, typical for you. Just so you understand. Very simple. It's very simple. There was no crime. There was no collusion.
George, they're holding his own against the president and really pressure him and pushing him because, again, he didn't answer on obstruction.
You can see all of George's reporting from that incredible 48 hours of access during a primetime special next week.
But now we turn to the rising tensions between the U.S. and Iran playing out in the waters of the Persian Gulf region.
Conflicting accounts have emerged as to what caused an oil tanker to erupt in flames and burn for hours off the coast of Iran. Another tanker was also apparently attacked. Iran has denied any involvement.
But overnight, new images were released, which could be key evidence against Iran. ABC's Elizabeth Herr is here with the latest. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Kenneth and Lana, U.S. officials maintain Iran is to blame and the attacks were unprovoked. But that claim, according to Iranian officials, is unfounded. This morning, U.S. Central Command releasing new video showing what it claims are Iranian forces removing an unexploded mine from the hull of a Japanese tanker, along with what U.S. officials say are new pictures showing where the mines were placed. That Japanese tanker, one of the two vessels crippled by Iran, according to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
This assessment is based on intelligence, the weapons used, the level of expertise needed to execute the operation.
The crew of the Japanese tanker seen here receiving treatment from American sailors aboard the USS Bainbridge that, according to U.S. Central Command, beat an Iranian patrol boat also racing to the scene to try to get there first. An Iranian ship did recover 23 members of the other tanker that was attacked. The Iranians later showing pictures of that crew watching TV in an Iranian port city. The attacks occurred in the Gulf of Oman about 45 minutes apart, the same waterway where U.S. officials have also blamed Iran for attacking 4 oil tankers last month.
These are intended to disrupt, to drive up the global price of oil, to drive up insurance rates, which benefits Iran.
But this morning, Iran denying any involvement. The foreign minister tweeting in part, the U.S. immediately jumped to make allegations against Iran without a shred of factual or circumstantial evidence. And there are new reports this morning that crew members on the Japanese tanker saw flying objects just before the attack, suggesting that the ship wasn't damaged by mines, which would contradict what the U.S. military has said. Still, a lot of questions, but the U.S. making it clear where they stand. Kenneth?
All right, Elizabeth Herr, thank you.
Now, some other headlines this morning, a major new development in the Flint, Michigan water scandal. The state's attorney general has dismissed all criminal charges against 8 officials, including involuntary manslaughter. The office is launching a new investigation, saying the first one was flawed. The crisis erupted in 2014 when the source of the city's water supply was changed to save money. The new supply was tainted with lead, which has been linked to 12 deaths.
David Ortiz's daughter is thanking everyone who has been praying for her father. The former Boston Red Sox star is in guarded condition in a Boston hospital after Sunday's shooting. His daughter, Alexandria, posted a message to Instagram saying the man known as Big Papi has not once looked for tears or pity. In the Dominican Republic, 5 suspects in the attack arrived for a scheduled hearing under heavy guard. The hearing was eventually postponed. According to ESPN, there are now 9 suspects, including 2 women. 3 more were charged yesterday. Back in the U.S., alleged shooter Rolfi Ferreira Cruz, who is still on the loose, is now charged in a 2017 armed robbery in New Jersey. Another suspect, Luis Rivas Clase, is believed to be wanted in an attempted murder last year in Pennsylvania.
Southwest Airlines won't be using the Boeing 737 MAX at all this summer, canceling about 100 daily flights. Southwest had planned to scrub the jets through August 5th, but expanded it into September 2nd. American Airlines extended their cancellations to the MAX through September 3rd, and United did the same through August 3rd. The planes were grounded globally in March following 2 crashes that killed 346 people.
Actress Jessica Biel is clarifying her stance on vaccinations. She posted on Instagram she is not against vaccinations, but supports giving families the right to make educated medical decisions. Biel has been facing criticism for joining anti-vax advocate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. opposing a strict vaccination bill in California that would make it more difficult for children to receive medical exemptions.
You know, the thing that's really troubling about that is that Biel, when she posted it, said that she has friends whose child wasn't able to have vaccinations. But there are so many children that are in that position that need other children who can have the vaccination to do it, so that there's herd immunity. And as we've moved away from that, those children who can't do it medically are in danger increasingly.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a congressional subcommittee will hold the first hearing in more than a decade about paying reparations to the descendants of slaves.
Actor Danny Glover is among those planning to testify at a hearing next Wednesday. Lawmakers will consider a bill that would create a commission to study the consequences and impacts of slavery and make recommendations for reparations proposals.
Back now to the NBA Finals and that thrilling finish. The Warriors had a shot at the very end last night, but the night belonged to the Toronto Raptors. It's their first NBA title. ABC's TJ Holmes was there for all the emotional moments after the game.
The Toronto Raptors have now done what no team before them has done, and they have brought an NBA championship north of the border for the first time ever in what was really an exhilarating night here at Oracle Arena, and what is the last time we will ever see the Golden State Warriors play in this arena. To these Warriors who have been wounded and have absolutely been dismantled by injury, Klay Thompson goes down with a knee injury in the third quarter. And the Warriors still had a chance in this game. Steph Curry got a good look in the closing minutes or moments of this game. It didn't fall. So sure enough, the Toronto Raptors behind Kawhi Leonard, who of course is your finals MVP, who put on a record essentially performance throughout these NBA Finals. He is your NBA Finals MVP, and the Toronto Raptors enjoying the moment, enjoying the time. They can't wait to get back to Toronto, where those fans at Jurassic Park have been partying all night. But Toronto, Canada, congrats, first ever championship.
So I called it.
You did.
Drake
right at the beginning.
Putting out 2 new songs to celebrate this big win.
Celebrate.
We all can't wait to hear it. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to play it here.
I'm sure.
And criticize it.
You're already downloading it.
We're really excited about this. Coming up, fans of The West Wing are crossing their fingers.
What creator Aaron Sorkin and star Rob Lowe have to say about a possible revival when we come back.
We're back now with the case against Cuba Gooding Jr. He was in court last night pleading not guilty to accusations that he groped a woman at a New York City bar.
New surveillance video obtained by TMZ appears to show him place his hand on a woman's thigh. A few seconds later, his hand appears to move up to her breast.
Meanwhile, a second accuser has reportedly come forward. WABC's Josh Einiger was at the courthouse last night as the actor faced a judge.
This video, unearthed and posted tonight by TMZ, appears to show the moment Manhattan prosecutors say Cuba Gooding Jr. groped a woman. He's sitting with his girlfriend when the alleged victim sits down next to them, and Gooding appears to touch her leg, then her breast, before either she pushes his hand away or he pulls her hand away and kisses it. Just 4 nights later, the actor appeared at Manhattan arraignment court and pleaded not guilty of charges he groped her.
Show me the money.
The 51-year-old Academy Award-winning star of Jerry Maguire had been out Sunday night at the Magic Hour, a rooftop bar in Times Square. It was later that night the woman called police.
There he is.
Gooding, who'd already flown back to L.A., returned to New York today to surrender voluntarily to the NYPD, where detectives who specialize in sex crimes placed him under arrest. Mark Heller is his lawyer.
I frankly am shocked and horrified that this case is being prosecuted. All I ask of you is that you judge for yourself look at the video and make your own choice rather than relying on the overzealous policing in this matter.
Gooding's facing 2 different charges, forcible touching and third-degree sexual abuse. Both misdemeanors. A judge released him on his own recognizance. He'll be back in court later this month. Josh Einiger, ABC News, New York.
Our thanks to Josh. Turning now to Indonesia, where tensions are high over a court challenge to the country's recent elections. And now authorities are boosting security around the capital of Jakarta as hearings begin. Julie McFarland is across the pond in the London Bureau watching this. Hey, Julia, good morning.
Hey, Lana, great to see you. Hey, Kenneth. Yes, you're absolutely right. There is a beefing up of security, tens of thousands of police and security forces out on the capital of Jakarta because the failed candidate for April's general elections, Prabowo Subianto, he is asking the Constitutional Court to invalidate the results of the election. He is alleging a lot of voter fraud. He claims that police and state institutions like the intelligence agencies were biased in his favor, and he says that the results of the election were illegitimate.
And moving to Vietnam, Julia, authorities say they've seized more than 7 tons of ivory and so much more in a giant wildlife trafficking bus. So what's the latest there?
Yeah, this is a huge haul, Kenneth. As you say, more than 7 tons of illegal animal material, elephant ivory and pangolin scales. This is one of Vietnam's biggest hauls of illegally trafficked wildlife parts. Now, pangolins are the world's most heavily trafficked animal. They are these sort of small armadillo-like creatures, and they are furiously hunted for their scales. Their scales, they're made out of keratin, and they are often powdered up and used in traditional medicine. Now, wildlife campaigners are aggressively sort of campaigning against this because they say that these animals are in danger of extinction. But tackling the illegal wildlife trade is really, really difficult. There's now a criminal investigation that started in Vietnam on this particular case because they're trying to figure out who ordered these materials and where they were headed for.
I know there's been a campaign, obviously, to educate and to, many people said urban legend, folklore, just myths that that these have any type of healing properties. So.
Well, and modern medicine can study these animals and try and replicate it, but they can't if the animals become extinct. But there is some good news this morning out of Paris, where Notre Dame Cathedral is set to hold its first mass since the devastating fire there. But as we know, renovations are still ongoing.
Absolutely, Lana. So this is the first time a service will be held in Notre Dame after that devastating fire back in April. Now, it's going to be a very small service. Numbers are very limited, and it's going to take place in one of the side chapels. So you might ask, well, what's the point in them having this? Well, I think the answer to that is that this is probably very good for morale. As we covered back in April, Notre Dame is of huge symbolic and emotional significance to the Parisian people. France is, of course, a secular republic right now, and so it's not really about Notre Dame, the church, but Notre Dame as an icon of Frenchness and particularly of Parisian life. The people were incredibly moved by the fire. You saw all sorts of people pledging donations to try and help fix it. President Macron, he has vowed that the building work and the repairs will be completed within 5 years. So that's a steep ask. But I think this holding a mass tomorrow is just going to boost a little bit of morale for everyone.
I do understand it's going to be televised. Isn't that correct, Julia?
Yes, absolutely. It will be broadcast live. So the small number of people who will be able to be there physically, it's not just going to be them who are going to be able to take part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Julia, my friend, it's good to see you. Have a great weekend. We appreciate it. And let's check our notifications now, starting with an Australian family who was looking back at pictures from a vacation in Bali last December when they spotted this monkeying around there. During a visit to a long-tailed monkey preserve, they squatted down to pose for a picture, and that's when one of the primates photobombed the shot and offered up, shall we say, a one-finger salute.
I love this photo of a monkey photobombing a family because we've been on vacation before, my husband and I, and had a monkey steal our camera.
So, did you get it back?
He climbed up into a tree and then he dropped it down.
Like, here you go.
Yeah, it was in an otter case, though. It was a perfect ad for the case because it didn't shatter or anything like that. And so then we had the footage of the monkey, and basically it looked like a monkey butt dial dust because he's
Monkey
running
butt.
all through the trees.
Did he flip you off too?
No,
Okay,
he was much
that's
more
good.
polite than that.
Good. Well, the Canadian women's soccer team was feeling all right and gonna let it all hang out on a bus ride in France. Uh-oh,
driving me crazy. Well, that's the ladies on the Canuck squad getting hyped listening to Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Twain retweeted the video herself with the message, "Let's go, girls. We've been singing it all morning."
No, let's go, girls. I would have been definitely let's go if this happened to me. A cold-blooded passenger made its way from the mainland U.S. to Hawaii.
This black racer snake, oh my gosh, I had to pause at that video, managed to stow away in a man's backpack. It wasn't discovered until he arrived in Maui earlier this week. The non-venomous snake is about a foot long. It's mainly found in Florida. Authorities determined that the man did not bring the snake to Hawaii on purpose. If he had, he would have faced a fine of up to $200,000. But who would do that on purpose?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Passengers do some crazy things.
But I can't even believe that snake got into his backpack and he had no idea.
No idea at all.
That's scary.
He didn't look for any snacks in that backpack. He would have been very surprised.
Maybe he did have snacks.
Oh.
Not anymore.
Some snake eggs?
Snake eggs?
Yeah, if you lay some eggs, you can just gobble them up. All right.
All right, it was one of the most popular TV shows in the 1990s. It's one that lives on Netflix.
The 1990s, I remember that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
The West Wing, maybe coming back? Are you serious? That's if Rob Lowe gets his way. He says he'd be willing to star in a reboot of Aaron Sorkin. Writes it, and Sorkin recently said he's open to the idea, but only if he gets a good idea.
I have a good idea.
What?
Well, it seems like this is Rob Lowe's idea as well. Making Rob Lowe's character the president.
You know, he was a young man on that show in the 90s, and so now he's an older gentleman. He could be the president.
He could be. He could be.
He's past that age of 35.
So you know what? Who I'd vote for?
Who?
Joshua Lyman. Love you.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Coming up, our own Janae Norman is changing how women and girls of color are looking at themselves one curl at a time.
How she made the decision to free the curls and wear her natural hair on TV. After this. Here's what to watch out for today. President Trump is scheduled to meet with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and give a speech on health care for small businesses in the Rose Garden.
The 17-year-old victim of a shark attack off of a North Carolina beach is speaking out in a press conference. Paige Winter, whose leg had to be amputated after the attack, said last week that she's staying positive. You can watch her right here on ABC News Live.
And coming up at 9 a.m. Eastern, watch GMA's summer concert series featuring Ellie Goulding live from Central Park in New York. Plus, don't forget to tune into The Debrief for an update on all our top stories and the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. Well, there is a quiet revolution going on in the TV news industry, and it appears it started right here.
Our own Janae Norman made the brave decision one day to embrace her natural hair on camera, and since then, she's never looked better and she's never looked back.
To free my curls, I first had to free my mind. And that may sound like an overstatement, but really. Good morning, I'm ABC's Janae Norman.
Thank you, Janae Norman.
For nearly 30 years, I was conditioned by a standard of beauty that left me out. I just wasn't included. TV, magazines, society, by omission, told me I wasn't beautiful.
Reporting live in Columbia, Janae Norman, ABC 17 News.
My hair needed to be boned straight, my eyes blue or green, my skin fair, and I just didn't make the cut. When I got pregnant back in 2017, I didn't know yet if I was having a boy or a girl, but I knew that I wanted my kid to grow up loving themselves. Still to this day, I hope that my son is confident and knows that he is beautiful and perfect as is. I believe kids learn best by example. So I knew that I had to embody that confidence, that sense of self-worth in myself. And a big part of that was accepting my hair as it grows from my head. So I was battling this internal conflict, undoing the years of conditioning to try to fit a beauty standard that I would never fit, and at the same time learning to appreciate what makes me unique, while reassuring myself I can still be taken seriously and seen as a professional with my natural hair. For many women like me in news, there's also an external factor we struggle with in deciding to go natural. We worry about whether wearing our natural hair will impact our career trajectory and how we'll be perceived at work. We worry for good reason. There are news directors right now who will not allow Black reporters, Black anchors to wear their natural hair on air, and that is a shame. So I was ready to challenge that, and though it's been one of the most liberating decisions of my career, it was not an easy one, and it took some time. So while I was pregnant, I began straightening my hair less and less, and eventually I was wearing wigs to protect my natural hair, my natural curls. The first time I anchored the overnight show, the hairstylist convinced me to unbraid my hair and to wear my natural hair on air as it was. The feedback that morning was fantastic. So when I was named the overnight anchor a short time later, I decided I wanted to find a way to bring more of my natural self to that role. Most of the time I do a twist out, manipulating my curls a bit, but one Monday in December, I was back from vacation and I didn't have time to twist my hair. So I did a wash and go, which is just my natural curl pattern with some curl cream. I hadn't nailed down my routine or found the right products, and I was so self-conscious. That was the first morning I was on the GMA set with Robin Roberts.
A moment, dig in the hair. I almost didn't put on a shower cap this morning because I wanted that hair.
That was it. My husband still laughs at me because for months, years even, he encouraged me to wear my natural hair on air, but I was too nervous, I was too scared, I was so reluctant. But once Robin Roberts signed off on it on national television, the rest was history. I hope the young girls growing up, coming up behind me, don't ever have to worry about how they're perceived just wearing their natural hair. And I hope being in my position that I'm able to do the same for others out there. I imagine the reporter who is the only Black woman at her station or the only Black reporter in her whole market who wants to wear her natural hair but is fearful for whatever reason. I hope she feels like, hey, she is on ABC News with her natural hair. If she can do it, I can do it too.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we're so proud of Janae. I like to joke with her and tease her because she's my little sister about freeing those curls. But I will say that we're so proud of her and just that revealing testimony of what she's been through. And I think it will be really inspirational to others.
Well, and it's so remarkable to hear Janae, who is a dear friend of ours and one of the most gorgeous women on television, one of the most gorgeous women around, that she didn't feel that she fit into the standard of beauty. So.
And when she's back on Monday, we plan to talk all about it and to really hash through it. And we really want you to join that conversation. So that brings us to our question of the day. Have you struggled with wearing your natural hair at school or in the workplace? I know that I haven't because I really even Janae out.
Now, if Janae was here right now, she would call you Baldilocks.
She would. She likes to call me that.
So for you, Janae.
Yeah, so tell us your story in the comments or tweet us at ABC News Live. We want to hear from you. And you know what? We had so much fun hearing from Lana Zach today, making her It's Morning America debut here on the desk. It was great having you, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Come back and see us sometime.
Okay.
When Janae is out freeing those curls and not at work, right? Have a great Father's Day weekend.
Have a great weekend.
We'll see you on Monday. Have a good one.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.